LeadHers Showcase 23 edition with a young, fresh out of university, self-made entrepreneur who took the plunge into starting her own clothes label. It's a cluttered market, I thought. But when I learned about her ethos, the values, and the gap in the market that the brand is trying to fill, I realized what a little daredevil she is. It takes a lot of courage to show your dreams to someone else. And she dared to. Meet my guest today, Brishti Ghosh, entrepreneur, chief designer at the Blush Tree, a clothes brand from Kolkata. She's also a content creator and a big advocate for inclusion. Brishti, welcome to LeadHers Showcase.
Thank you so much for having me here. I am super excited to be doing this chat with you. I have followed all your interviews and all the showcases, so I'm like hugely honored that I can be a part of it too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Brishti. Tell us about Blush Tree. Also tag my second question with it. Why another clothes brand?
Yes, so I started Blush Tree in 2021. So that was I like you mentioned, I had just finished my master's. So I started Blush Tree in September 2021, and before I actually started Blush Tree, I was creating a lot of content on Instagram itself, and I also have my own blog, and I was writing a lot about body positivity and plus size fashion. So then I started getting a lot of, I built a small community on Instagram itself. And I started getting a lot of queries about, where I'm buying my clothes from and how do I have like a good sense of style. And everyone started asking me. And whenever I used to always try to be helpful, and whenever I used to try to answer them, they would always be like, oh, but this brand doesn't have my size. So even though I am a plus size person, I still fall on the the other end of the spectrum where I still get my sizes, where I'll still probably fit into a XL or double XL. But that is pretty much the extent which most brands go to. So they would be always, there would be more often than not, they would be disappointed that, oh, but I love your dress, but they don't have my size and all that. So that is when I started interacting with a lot of people. That is when I realized that there is really a gap in the market where, people are looking for clothes which are not just in their size, but also fashionable, also something that, flatters their body. Because till now, we've seen most of the brands which are doing plus size clothing, so to say, have always been doing very boxy cuts, cuts which are not at all flattering. Just, they don't give your body any shape. And as we are getting influenced by social media and all other kinds of media, we don't want to wear these kind of clothes, regardless of what our body type is. So that's when this idea came to me that, I can have my own clothing line where I actually make clothes that I personally like to wear, one, and also that I would be able to cater to people who actually want to wear stylish and comfortable clothes, but don't get it simply because of the lack of choice.
Mm-hmm.
So even though there are a lot of brands who are doing clothes and who are doing cotton clothing and all, that is a lot of there are a lot of players in the market already. But I think what makes or sets us apart is the fact that we cater to all sizes, and we also charge the same price for a the double XS to maybe a 10XL, because we genuinely feel that it's important that people should feel included. People should not feel alienated, that I should not be able to have to pay extra to get something which is for me and in my size. So I think that's the main ethos, and that is where how I think is a distinguishing factor that sets Blush Tree apart from all the other brands who are, there in the market doing similar stuff.
So I love the name. It's so unique and it stands out, in such a cluttered market. So tell me
Thank
something.
you.
Did you face any resistance at home when you suddenly declared that you want to be an entrepreneur or start into this path of creating your own brand? Typically, Indian parents, they want their child to be well educated and then find a cushy job and eventually settle down. So how did you, balance this resistance at home?
To be very honest, there was not a lot of resistance. It was very minute, and I think I got more more support than resistance. Obviously, I feel that my parents were a little concerned because nobody in our family has been into a business or an entrepreneurial role as such. But I always had that streak in me because I also had a small business which I did in college, which was a very small scale business, mostly for university students and all. But I always had that fire to do something on my own, and I always used to discuss with my mother that I am doing my his masters in history. That's what I studied, and I probably will take up a teaching job or do something on those lines, but I know that that's not where my heart lies. So I used to have these discussions with my mother, and my mother, as you would expect, would always tell me, no, you're so good in studies, you should go and get a PhD, you should do your PhD, because I was fairly decent in studies as well. So it was like her dream that, no, I get a PhD and everything, and I have a doctor in front of my name. It's all those things. But when I told her that I'll try doing blush for a year. And if it doesn't work out, or if I can't make it work, then I'll probably take up another course, either a PhD or a BEd or whatever. But my mother actually, in fact, told me that, if you want to do it, put everything in. Don't have a second backup option, then you will not put your 100%. If it doesn't work out, then I'll do BEd or I'll do PhD. No, if you want to do it, then put everything you have. Don't keep a backup option. And I think that really helped because I was like, okay, I'll do blush. I'll not think about what else I can do if it doesn't work out, because I want to make this work. I wasn't wanting to start a business out of a pressure. It was something I wanted to do. So if I know that I want to do, then I had this faith that, okay, maybe I'll be able to make it work. So I did not get resistance as such from my parents per se, but I did get a little bit of resistance, not resistance, but there were a lot of noise on the outside from people who, everyone was like, oh, why are you not becoming an IAS officer? Or, and a lot of people thought that it's just a hobby. She'll stop after a while. Acha, theek hai, what is she doing? That sort of reaction. And those kind of reactions really bring you down sometimes, because I know the amount of hard work I put in, right? So when people think it's just a hobby or it's something that you're doing just for fun, then that's a little sad. But I think from my inner circle, I got a lot of support. In fact, like you said, the name Blush Tree I decided on the first night when I told my mother. So it came so instinctively to us, the name. So I think that way I got a lot of support from my parents. And otherwise, also now I think people have become a lot more accepting after running Blush Tree for 1.5 years.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned you received a lot of noise from not the inner circle, but perhaps circle outside of your core family members.
Yeah.
So do you find any challenges being an entrepreneur straight out of university? Do people tell you you don't have any experience, or how can you, because you are competing with brands which are established in the market, or which are launched and run by people who
Expert.
are more experienced than you.
Yeah. So in that sense, I think yeah, of course, I had a lot of people who did tell me that, you could have taken up a job even if you wanted, because I did not even study fashion. Like I mentioned, I studied something completely different. I did not study fashion, but I did, I felt that I have a fair understanding of designs and textiles and all, and everything that I learned is something I learned from scratch. So that is something that I feel has really helped me. That is an experience that nobody can take away from me, because I have learned everything by myself, and that too from scratch. Now, coming to the part of where I feel that, okay, maybe getting out of college and starting my business straight away. Yes, of course, if I would have taken up a job, maybe I would have gotten slightly more, into the industry, how the market works, how supply chain and everything, that I'm still learning. I'm still learning something maybe I could have learned on the job. But then on the hindsight, I also think that I'm learning those things while running my own business anyway. So even if it's a job I would have taken up, or it's while doing my own business, I always tell this to everyone that it's running Blushtree is a completely a learning curve for me. Like it's just gotten better because I've learned to handle things very well now. By now I can handle most things. which are thrown my way, which I probably did not know how to handle a year back. So that way, yes, of course, having a little bit of job experience probably would have helped in the way that I would have known how other people think and got to interact with people who are in the same space. But I think now social media and networking has become so expansive that I still know and network with a lot of people who are in the same field, and we become friends or we share our experiences. So that way, I think it's good.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you made very critical points out there that learning on the job, there is
Yeah,
no textbook or no course that can teach you that. So I keep telling people that you can do thousands of online courses or you can read thousands of books, but the amount of learning you get, it's really in a very condensed mode. It's tough. It's
yeah,
challenging. I see a lot of content that you create on Instagram and other social media platform about raising awareness on body shaming and
yeah.
size inclusion. So being on social media all the time, and I would love to call you, you're my leader. So being a leader, how do you cope with the stress of building your own brand in public? So you're always in the eye of public
Yeah.
because you are demonstrating your clothes that come out, you're launching them in public. So are people nice to you on social media, and at a young age how do you handle that pressure of constant criticism or maybe positive constructive feedback?
Yeah.
Do you seek validation from others on these public forums?
So, to be very honest, I think it's very hard. Anyone who tells you that being on social media is easy all the time, it's really not. It's a different thing to do it as a hobby, as something you want to share your life with, and it's a completely different thing when you're trying to, put your self out there, also build your online presence, make sales. Everything is dependent on how you market yourself on social media, and I think now it has come to a point where, and it's obviously done by me also consciously, that I am the face of Blushtree. Like, people associate Blushtree with me. So I just can't take a backseat suddenly and have people do everything for me. That is not, at least not in the immediate future, that's not a possibility. So I think that pressure is always there. That pressure sometimes also gets to me, because for the longest time I was handling everything alone. I was running the business alone, and just social media and running everything on the back end, they are two different ball games altogether. And social media itself can be so draining. So I would say that mostly people are nice to me. People are nice because I think I at least on Blushtree have a very mature audience who gets what we stand for. So I think that way I haven't got a lot of criticism or a lot of, feedback, yes, I get on my clothes. If something is wrong with the clothes and all, then I obviously get feedback. And we at Blushtree, like, we always want to do the best for our customers. So that feedback, that part of the feedback, we take very seriously. If there's something wrong with the clothes or there's something people want to be changed, we'll always take that. But with social media, I think we have a very mature audience. Having said that, because we are not just a clothing line, because we are not just showing clothes and wearing and modeling and putting it out there, there's a lot of talk that happens on our social media channel. There is some sort of criticism that comes our way sometimes, which like, for example, I'll give you an example. We recently put out a reel which was about medical shaming, medical fat shaming, where, doctors and that's not the case with all doctors, but some doctors, they don't even, a lot of fat people don't even get the correct kind of treatment, because the only solution to all their problems is lose weight. So I think we put out a reel talking about that, and mostly people resonated with it. But we also got people who are like, why are you shaming doctors and all that? I'm like, you're not shaming doctors. All we're wanting to say is everyone deserves the same kind of treatment and the same kind of empathy. All patients, regardless of whether they are fat or thin. So I think that kind of thing comes in, because we are also treading on slightly murky waters. It's not always, very hunky dory. We are very honest. We feel that we put out our raw, unfiltered version of myself on my social media as much as I can, of course. So that way that resistance is there. But I think that again comes with wanting to make a point. So because I also, oh, another thing that I would like to mention, that I've also got people to tell me on social media that why should a double XL or maybe a 3XL pay the same price as a XS, because you're using more fabric for somebody who's a bigger size. But I'm like, but that's, even if we need more fabric, that should be the concern of the manufacturer or the person who's making the clothes, that how I can bring it together and how I can still make my profit. No, it should not be so much of a concern for the customer, because when we actually go to a bigger brand, nobody asks why XS or XL are the same price, right? Nobody asks that. So why should it should be my concern, and I should be able to deal with the extra cost, and if I'm okay with it, then I think so should the customer. So I think these are little things that I have faced, but I think nothing too major right now. But yeah, I think always being on social media is a little draining. That does take a toll on me once in a while. So I'll probably take a break, take a day off. Right now I also have someone who helps me with social media, so I sometimes let her manage it while I take a little off or focus on other things. So yeah, you're managing.
Oh, nice to hear that. That you are seeking help, and you're
Yeah.
also delegating work. Find is draining or choking on your bandwidth. So,
Yeah.
what would be your message to anyone thinking of taking a plunge into entrepreneurship? Because I see a number of women who go off their formal career path and they want to get into something that they are very passionate about but do not know where to start from or what should be the first step. And
Yeah.
they're constantly seeking validation from family members. If someone says, oh, that's not a good idea to start with, they will just cut off their dreams and go back to their old life. So what would be your message to someone who's at the brink of taking that plunge?
Uh, very to be very honest, I think I mean, to just say it how it is, being an entrepreneur or a person in business is very, very hard.
Hmm.
So if someone wants to take the plunge, I think they really need to what they really need to have is patience. Everything else will always fall into place. If they have a lot of patience, everything else will fall into place. Having said that, being an entrepreneur, I think, is the most fulfilling job, because you're really working for yourself. You're doing something that you are truly passionate about. So if someone wants to, get into entrepreneurship, I think they should ask themselves that what are they really passionate about, what they'll always, they will not feel, even if it doesn't work out for a certain period, they will not feel that it's not worth it, because it's hard, it's really hard, and it's really hard to keep going if you're not passionate about it. So if you're passionate about something, then definitely go for it, take the plunge, and start small. Like, I started with like a very small amount. I started from my living room. I still work out of my living room. So but I can see a substantial growth in my business. So I'm like, it's okay to start small, it's okay to have have a big vision but start small. That's completely fine. I think a lot of people also think that business means you have to invest a lot of money, otherwise you won't get similar kind of returns. That's really not true. It's okay to start small. It's okay to have have your friends and family be your first customers, and then you slowly build it up from there. So if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, please go for it. It's really fulfilling, and we need more entrepreneurs who are following their dreams and who are doing something worthwhile. And that, I would love to see a lot more entrepreneurs. There are a lot of people who are getting into this space now, but more, maybe more.
Thank you so much. Those are really, wise words beyond someone's age. So I think they stand true at any age, very, very rightly said. Just take the plunge and be patient. I can see how much experience and your own passion is coming into those words. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. And I'll definitely, we would love to spread the word about Blushtree on Leaders. So wish you all the best. Anything else would you like to share with Leaders? Please do so. The stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. I loved chatting with you because, these things sometimes we think about it, but then when you actually talk to someone, these things actually, go back and see that, okay, yes, I have come a long way. So, thank you so much for, inviting me on this wonderful, wonderful show. I always watch all the episodes, the interviews, and I feel everyone has so much insight to share. So please continue doing this. And leaders, I love the platform. I've met incredible women through the platform itself. So thank you so much for doing this, and I had a lovely time.
Brishti, thank you so much and all the best for your future. Take care.
Thank you so much. Okay,
Bye.
bye bye.